Good morning, everybody. I'm kind of looking at the feed here on YouTube. Got a little bit of artifact going on. Test my audio real quick. Okay. Interesting. The feed's okay. They can see the screen, but the overall presentation's kind of skewed. So we'll go ahead and kick off with this, and then we'll see if any changes take place. But good morning, everybody. Welcome to Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared. It is October 19th, 2022. So happy Wednesday to everybody. And for those in the southern area of the US, I guess welcome to a little bit of cold weather. You can tell my attire has been changing recently. It's been getting a little chillier in the morning. So I come to y'all with a little bit of a shiver in my body, but ultimately we're here to look at the markets and got to brave through that. So let's talk about yesterday's trade. S&Ps were down on the session. We saw some drawdown from our gap up open, and we did close higher relative to the previous day close. But the market has been kind of disadvantageous to bulls in this region of price. So a lot of people are wondering, should we continue to follow the model of selling the rip and looking for continued downside, albeit not necessarily to new lows, but even just to kind of fade back into this region of the chart, which continues to be a very tightly wound and ultimately high open interest zone of the SPX. This area of contention is what's in play, and it is driving a lot of order flow throughout this market. So this region, some of the levels that I've marked and will continue to analyze respective of a couple of weeks ago, these zones of the market are in play and they're in focus because a lot of our order flow as of late has been mostly driven by correlated market events. Anytime we see relatively strong S&P sessions, most of the market is moving higher. Anytime we see drawdowns, most of the market is moving lower. It's been rare to find sessions where a sector or multiple sectors are bullish with the rest of the sectors being flat to bearish. There hasn't really been this high degree of sector rotation, and there's no bifurcation really going on that I can observe. It's either all in one directional bias or all in another, usually on the sessions that have the most volatility. You want to be thinking like the previous CPI session and the following day, along with what we've seen this week. And if you're looking at something like Trading Terminal, you get a sense of where that sector outperformance and underperformance has been. You'll notice that on this week so far, we've seen outperformance in financials. They've obviously been in play due to their earnings last week. But we're also seeing continued defensive behaviors. A lot of our more characteristically defensive sectors are up, and just relative to the S&P, which is up about 2%, 2.5% from last week, there's been a lot of outperformance, but it's one-sided. It's all correlated in one direction, which basically means that no matter which sector you've chosen, you're likely up from the previous week. That's obviously got a lot to do with that stronger reactionary bounce from CPI, along with the correlated nature of a high volatility market. Usually when volatility comes off, it provides a little bit of fuel and covering rally into our S&P futures, the hedging dynamic of the market that can lead to bullish behavior across the board. And it mostly feels one-sided. Usually on the session where it's happening, it starts to feel a bit one-sided at times. You compare this over to the past month, and obviously the picture changes dramatically. We're certainly still down from last month, and even anchored to an area where we started to really see some fear-based selling through the June lows. But there have been pockets of strength relative to energy, which continues to be a bit more of a geopolitical climate for that commodity. So the question is, what should we be doing today? What are some things in focus, and has really anything changed? Are we still seeing the same characteristics as we've seen recently, or should we be doing something behaviorally different? And I think for now, the argument to short the rip still remains. For one, even if you're a short-term trader, the volatility back and forth in this market has allowed for significant degrees of profitability, so long as we can remain under these areas. The high to low trade is still in play. And what's been evaluated more or less is, are we going to make fresh lows, or are we still going to see a lot of consolidative activity? Still with a bearish connotation, but the trend of the S&P may no longer require fresh lows. Instead, we'll just see a lot of wide trading sessions, usually high to low behavior characteristics. And for the purpose of what we've been discussing, the model back in 2008, the idea that the S&P is following a lot of the same technical characteristics as this time frame, means that if you're looking at this model and using the anchor of the 200 period rejection as your where to sort of anchor your price relative to today, it brings into focus where we likely are. If this model continues to be correct, then, as outside of looking at individual sessions, this area of the chart is where I expect us to be. And what that means is, you'll notice there's a lot of wide trading sessions, 1 to 2% declines and advances, lots of engulfing type behavior, very choppy in its price activity. And what you'll notice is there's edge following a bit of a channel-based methodology. If you are trading short term and the S&P starts to look like this over time, we will start to observe that being probably nimble in your positioning, trading long when the short-term intraday session is long, trading short when the intraday session is short, seeing these high to low moves, especially when they're coming from single daily sessions. This is a characteristic that I do expect the market to start to show. Now, as I've mentioned before, this is just a model. This is 2008's chart, and it's in the period of Q2 earnings, so July timeframe earnings. So the argument that earnings could change this chart is true. Earnings could easily shake up the behavioral characteristics here, and we can make something like a fresh low against CPI. That would certainly break this assumption. But so long as the CPI low holds and we start to trade back and forth, albeit to the upside, that we're still going to be advancing if this turns out to be true, a lot of our short-term trade might be focused within this month. And you'll notice how long this period of time lasted. This is about a month of trade. We sort of lose our channel. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, the story gets a little different. So asking where we are in the cycle does require a little bit of speculation, and using 2008 is speculative, but so far it's been right. And similar to this short-term period, if it is a corrective move in the market, it'll look like a flag. It'll have channel characteristics. If you're an Elliott wave participant, someone who understands the impulse versus corrective nature of how markets move, looking at a corrective wave here, albeit we just don't know what the product of that wave is going to be at the moment. We're going to start to model that as it comes out. So the S&P, and moving back into today's session, it's starting to look like it. It's having some of the characteristics. And what it puts into focus is that this market may still have less inclination to go up. Basically the path of least resistance might still be to the downside. We just might not see a lot of resolution this month if the model happens to be correct. So this is what I bring into focus for your intraday strategy. Looking at gap up opens that sell, looking at gap down opens that get bought up, trading through a potential channel structure that we're going to try and define over time by price, and understanding that corrective moves will start to give the illusion that the trend is broken. Essentially the trend that everyone's paying attention to is this guy. It's what are we doing at the 20 period? What are we doing against the downtrend resistance line? Well, we broke out from it. And what are we doing against the pivot? We could move a little bit higher here. I'm kind of assuming things like the 50 need to be tested. How we get there and the eventual reaction against it is what's in focus. So I think short term, when you're inside of a earnings period, taking a lot of directional risk, whether you're in a similar product or an index product, is challenging. You're basically assuming an earnings reaction is going to be in favor of your directional bias. What that allows us to do is to trade short term, intraday, and maybe with some very light option swing ideas, just vertical, something with very clear defined risk. All of those behaviors and all of those trade ideas allow you to stay nimble in this market. You trade short term because the market's only offering short term directional moves with large reversions, large givebacks. Are we necessarily bearish up here? I would say for now, and until the chart proves otherwise, yes, assume that we could go much lower. But have we lost the short-term trend? Technically, no. So the channel still could remain in focus, and we could sort of trap, confuse, and frustrate a lot of different traders who are looking for bigger extensions when the wave pattern doesn't really facilitate that type of behavior. So that's what the model suggests, and that's the model that I'm going to use until it breaks. That's the whole idea behind it, is until that model actually shows me invalid information, I have to assume it's going to play out. Now, what are some things that we might want to focus in on for short term? Obviously, our next earnings up to bat is Tesla. Real quickly, when we look at Netflix's earnings, we were looking at about a $30 expected move. Netflix closed at about $240. We're opening today somewhere around 270. There was a little bit of additional upside. If you played the actual earnings reaction, you got plenty of bullish momentum to these targets. It even pushed to almost 280 at one point. But ultimately, how much did the market move from close to open? As long as we stay around this price, it's about 30 bucks. And this shows the characteristic nature of option plays into earnings. Most of the time, the expected move drives the actual price activity. It's where the market has put up their risk. And similar to any sort of range or anything that has a lot of participation at boundaries, but then it starts to basically fall off. You want to understand that these boundaries define price over time. What we try and do is get an idea of where those boundaries are before the price responds to it. And that's really what earnings showcases is a lot of those directional moves, even though we don't know what the earnings reaction is, you can place some metric trades relative to the highs and lows of the expected move. So for a lot of people in yesterday's trade session, a lot of people were playing this number. They either sold premium relative to that range. They maybe took some of the double diagonal structures that we discussed yesterday. And really, they're just assuming that that number is going to be met, but that the market will not move much farther. Essentially stay within those boundaries, maybe run to one side of them, but from that point, you start to really lose edge. And for a market to really extend past it, takes a little bit of a surprise, catalyst, maybe some additional volume. That can certainly happen today, but for the earnings itself, $30 was the target. And that's, of course, plus or minus. So whenever we look at how Netflix responded, start to look at Tesla from those same glasses, from the same lens. Tesla, as of right now, is pricing about a $17 to $18 expected move. If we open at 220, and if we look at the money straddles from yesterday, it's about 17.50. So if you want to give that a little bit of room, you could argue that $20 plus or minus is the target. If Tesla moves down from 220, assuming that we close somewhere near this price today, then 200 would be an obvious target. It's got a lot of open interest on the put side, and people are obviously a little concerned with the performance into this quarter, as we've seen a significant decline in the actual stock price. Tesla has been one of our relatively weaker names this past couple of weeks. You look to the top side, however, 240 is also prepared. It's got open interest. And if you look a little bit higher, you'll even notice 250, a little bit of a more speculative outside of expected move. That would be 1.5 times outside. Therefore, some of the premium here is a little bit more expensive. If you look at an IV comparison relative to these strikes, what you'll notice is the IV is relatively high as you get close to at the money. That's pretty normal with the skew on the call side, but it actually level out in the 250s, and then it starts to increase again. So this is kind of like your IV curve on the call side. That's where the skew goes from high to low and then starts to creep up again. It's where that tail risk lives in the option market. So an options trader who understands those dynamics and wants to play those characteristics, they have to go into earnings with the assumption that one of those levels will probably be met. And no matter which one is met, They want to take advantage of either the move into the expected move boundaries, and that's usually where butterflies, directional diagonals, the things that we've been looking at are best suited, or they're looking to play this number, this IV rating coming down, reading coming down, because they know after earnings and after the risk is assessed, IV always gets crushed. That's always what happens. With 98% accuracy, it always happens. So when you're looking at Tesla today, don't think of it as a bull or a bear. I think you have to assume what will the market do if Tesla opens tomorrow at 250, and what will the market do if Tesla opens at 200 or lower? Because that is where earnings is pricing the risk, somewhere in this box. If it's outside of there, it's going to get much more significant. That's obviously where we see more dramatic price activity. But even if we stay in that box, it's a relatively big move for Tesla, and it's a relatively large company. So these moves will likely shake the NASDAQ. If you kind of look at how Netflix responded yesterday, obviously a bit bullish. And into this earnings, the NASDAQ rallied. There was a little bit of after hours upside into earnings. Excuse me. Some of that was based on Netflix itself. There were some stocks that are sentiment related. Stocks like Roku had a rally. They're obviously going to follow the leader to some degree. Netflix moving down or fading. Roku might have a little bit of a fade as well. It's been a relatively weak stock as of late. Stocks like Disney, they have similar streaming characteristics, and they obviously are part of this group of streaming service companies. They saw a little bit of a reaction as well. That one might be in focus as we are trading near that 100 psychological price. So sentiment plays reacting, market obviously trying to price in additional upside. If these companies report well, similar to Netflix, you'd expect them also to rally off of their reaction. So trying to price that in early is how sentiment trades work. One company does well, maybe the macro economic side of it is putting a lot of headwind into that particular sector or industry. That's how a lot of these stocks are going to respond. So a Disney, a Roku, Netflix, those are all three stocks that we'll likely be watching today. Netflix being the leader, but be careful assuming that Netflix has to move today. I think that's another point that you want to kind of drive home into earnings. We've already moved what the option market expected. So remember, a lot of the risk and a lot of the open interest is focused at these volume nodes relative to those boundaries. If Netflix starts moving around, it can move around in $5 intervals based on the option market with little to no trouble. But assuming that because it went to 270, 280, that it has to now start rallying again to 290, 300 is not really what today is about. A lot of the time you're going to see this open interest start to come off. And in doing so, you're selling calls for the most part. Any trader who took a call position will start to sell. That'll make the market maker unwind Netflix shares that they had to hedge by selling the call to those traders. And that can make the actual stock a bit consolidative or choppy. Sometimes it doesn't really move much at all. It kind of stays within that boundary. It's also a little bit of a dynamic with the actual IV contraction coming out, but for the most part, it's going to be driven directly by market makers selling any sort of Netflix shares that were facilitated by selling the calls to traders and investors who are hedging the upside. So these dynamics, Tesla's earnings are definitely in focus, and then some of these sentiment plays, probably great places to look today. Does the market really have to move much today? I would argue it's a bit of a contentious zone for the S&P. You'll notice I'm trying to mark off where I expect a little bit of a bounce, but ultimately we're in a bit of a sell position. And Apple did come out with some negative catalysts yesterday. So another stock to watch would be Apple. iPhone 14 production demand has slowed, so they're reducing or stopping production to some of their more expansive projections. A little bit bearish in regards to the future earnings of this company, and that can facilitate a little bit of downside today. We certainly got the reaction yesterday, but remember, these reactions often can be resolved pretty dramatically before seeing follow through. You know, you look at the sell, we actually bounced 100% of that sell off, and now we're in a position of weakness. So interesting mode that this market is in. Lots of channels, speculative forming. Be careful of assuming too much about the trend right now, and understand if the model follows suit, we might grind our way into some of these anchored moving averages that have yet to be tested. So with all that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Market. Trade safe today. Stay tuned for pre-market prep. And if you like what we've covered today, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments for any suggestions. We'll talk more tomorrow.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys had an incredible day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good, man. I am been behind the scenes getting everything rocking and rolling for this morning. For those that were in the class yesterday, we were talking about open range breakup and breakdown the 5 minute. Yesterday, right in the middle, right starting the presentation, one of my monitor crapped out. So we
Oh,
we had to take it out, and I was working with two monitors. So the presentation was fine. This morning, I replaced it with some other monitor I had hanging around. It's slightly different resolution, so things were all out of whack, but it looks like we might got it all figured out here.
apparently the same thing happened to Peter this morning. So what the hell is the
Uh,
chance of that of both
his
of you guys
monitor?
having that same issue? Yeah. He
No
lost one of
way.
his monitors. He said he
Yeah.
feels like he's on a travel setup. He's got reduced screen space because he's using I guess a old TV from that he pulled out of his daughter's room for the temporary fix that's low resolution or something. It's so
Yes.
strange.
Yeah. So the resolution messes things up. That's why you saw Jerry with something a little funky today. It took a
Uh-huh.
while to fix there.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
It's
I
just
don't have
funny,
that,
man.
but I did have the dreaded automatic restart. I was up early as I usually am,
Yeah.
reading, researching, whatever else. And I go to the other room to grab something and come back in, and my screens are black. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? And
That's
I
not
see
good.
the wheel spinning, and I'm like, no. I'm surprised my camera works, frankly.
Yeah, that is not good. It's just crazy, man.
So,
All right, guys. Hope you're having a slightly better morning than we are. Let's get to our gappers list this morning and see what's going on. I have not really looked at any or prepared because I've just been all on the tech side and making sure these screens work. So gappers list this morning, we have some stuff in the green. Airlines in here. Netflix, of course. Is this a ticker? I did not know that.
yeah, can you believe it? It's a SPAC. It's a SPAC ticker. It's not that old. I mean, it's been around for over a year as a SPAC, but it won't be this for much longer. I can't believe they used this. It's kind of makes it not that serious, right?
Yeah, I would not want my company named this.
So
Funny.
anyway, yeah. So this is a SPAC. I guess the shares voted to approve the merger with C-Star Medical. That is the news I can find as of yesterday evening. So that's what I got. That's the only thing I got. If somebody has something better, let me know, but probably not something that I will be looking at myself.
Yeah, it's the same here. I think today we'll have a lot of stuff, especially on our gap down list. Ooh, where did that just go? We'll bring it back here. Here it is. Our gap down list, which is full of stuff this morning. So a couple of nice names in there as well.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of the newer people are asking what a SPAC is. A SPAC is a special purpose acquisition company. It's essentially a shell company that people create to that has no operations, does nothing, although it is listed as a stock. And then what they do is they go out and they look to merge with a real company and bring it public without the IPO process. Can you hear me? Because it appears my camera froze. Maybe that's an update issue.
I can hear you, but yeah, it
my
looks like
camera's
the
frozen.
camera frozen. Yeah.
I'll see if I can fix it in a minute. So anyway, it's like Jeff P said, the easiest way to say it's kind of like a backdoor IPO. There's a little bit less involved in it. I believe it. There's a little bit less cost involved in a company IPOing that way. Anyway, it's been quite popular. It was quite popular, especially in 2020 and 2021. A lot of the companies that went public via SPACs have had some real problems. Some people might attribute that to a little bit less due diligence needed to become public. So anyway, that's what it is. That's there you go.
Yeah. All right, excellent, guys. Let's get to it. Let's get to our list
see
here.
If I can fix my camera. If not, then I'll just have to.
Yeah, you could just cut it. Okay. All right, excellent, guys. Let's get to our gappers list this morning. Let's remove the stuff from yesterday. Control A, control. Actually, we didn't go over these, but there are some pretty good stuff in here as well. Hold on a second. This monitor's weird. Okay, there we go. All right, excellent. Yeah, so stuff from yesterday, guys. We had Tesla on deck. We had Neo. We had Nvidia, all which traded very, very well. I think yesterday had a nice little drop there. The spike created a lot of the movement by selling off, and you could definitely look at plenty of stocks to take advantage of that. One of the ones that's going to be on our list is going to be obviously Netflix. Jared's talking about that a bit this morning as well. So we're going to. I think I got you back, Norm, right?
Yeah, we'll see how long it lasts. Then you can just hopefully I'm making a fun face. You can just leave frozen Norm up until to the levels.
Absolutely. Worst case, we have a backup. We'll throw that on
there. You go.
Away. All right, let's take a look at Netflix, guys. Obviously, a lot going on with this. Earnings popped up yesterday. I actually took a quick scalp on this. Peter, Brian, we're all watching this yesterday to the close. And man, this thing was wild. I think it was dropped, $20, $30. It shot up like 50 something in like a minute. It was just insane. So we took a little scalp on that long, and that was actually pretty nice. Let's take a look at what we have on our gap up list. We have Netflix, of course, that's on deck. LMAO, we just looked at that. I'm not going to add this to my list. I'm going to find better things to trade. It's just nothing looks good on this, really. at the moment. So we'll skip on that. We have a UAL this morning. What's going on with the airlines? I see two of them here, three now.
Yep. UAL reported last night some good stuff. We've spoken about it. I can't remember. Was it Delta, I think, that reported recently?
Mm-hmm.
The others are moving in sympathy because I believe American reports tomorrow. Love reports in like a week. They're seeing continued increased demand in travel and business travel coming back, which are both really important things, especially that business travel aspect of it, as those are the higher revenue, higher margin customers. So
yeah. I like United here, guys. 305,000. They're up 5.4. We'll see what it does. You can look at some other ones. American Airlines usually tends to have a slightly better volume, but I'll keep United today, and then these other ones could be as possible if you have space for them. Nothing else on here besides PLD, and this is not doing a whole lot, not much volume at the moment. So, well, we'll put this to the side for now. Another
it's
gap.
a REIT. They had earnings this morning, kind of a nothing to see here.
Yeah. Actually, no, we forgot to do now that I'm thinking about it before we get to our gap down is our announcements for today as far as economic data and what's happening. Yeah.
So we had building permits and housing starts at 8:30. Frankly, I haven't looked at that number. The update and everything slowed me down. So, and then we've got Neil Kashkari, who's the Minneapolis Fed president, speaking at 1:00 and Beige Book at 2:00. The big news that we're waiting on this week, of course, we have jobless claims tomorrow, like every week. But what we've got some stuff coming out next week with PMIs, but GDP comes out next Thursday. Everybody's going to be looking for that. And then I think it's the last big inflation read before the next Fed meeting in early November is going to be next Friday, which is PCE. PCE numbers will be out next Friday. See what happens there, because everybody knows that's what they're looking at. That's actually the Fed's favorite gauge of inflation too. And they'll get it right before they meet.
Yeah. All right, we'll see how that goes. Thanks, Norm. Sorry for skipping on that. Let's head back here to our list, and there is tons of stuff here in our gap down list. Some of these things I'm not familiar with. Let's take a look. OLPX. What is this here? This is down 45%. Is that correct? Yeah, I'm reading that right. 45%. Volume 2.6 million. Norm, what's the news on this thing? Big drop this morning.
So this is they sell, I guess, mainly hair care stuff. But they gave a warning about sales and stuff. A pre-announcement, essentially cut their forecast. They have been downgraded by at least 6, I think, banks this morning.
Wow.
5 analysts I see. So, yeah. Okay. Sales and stuff, Beavis. I didn't dig into it too much. I don't like $5 tickers. I don't know how many times I have to say that.
Yeah, I agree. And looking at everything else, it doesn't look good. Volume is very light for the most part every single day. Today, they're trading more volume than they do on most days. So I don't know how well this is going to trade. It's not a low flow, sitting at 124. You know what? We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. So I'd like to drop on this, but other than that, I don't see nothing else that looks good. But let's see. GNRC, this one doesn't look great pre-market right now. Volume is very light, 147, down 12%, but I don't see anything happening. So I'm going to skip on this for right now. Let's look at Ali this morning. Their pre-market actually looks decent, 342,000. This looks okay. Nice drop this morning, down 8.7. Norm, worth watching this morning?
Oh, yeah. Ally had... They had earnings this morning. The CFO just left. Their earnings were horrendous. They missed estimates by a mile. And they increased their loan loss reserves quite a bit. So these guys, their loans for, they do auto loans. They have some insurance stuff, mortgage loans, corporate finance.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I like their pre-market right now. I like the drop. So yeah, we'll definitely keep these guys on deck today. Let's head over to Billy. Billy this morning, not doing a whole lot of volume. It's a little bit light at 168. So I think we'll skip on it for now. I see some EVs coming up here. We have XPEV, we have Lee, Man, look at XPF at $8. These things are gonna hit zero. Uh, Lee, where's Neo? I know Neo dropped today again. They're down here around 1184. This has been just an amazing ticker to trade. To the short side, yeah, this is crazy. I'm gonna have Neo on deck just because I've been trading that almost every day this month. We'll keep that on there. Let's look at some of the other Chinese, a lot of Chinese stocks in here. Is there any overall Chinese news? I see they're just leading
I
the
know
way
there is.
here.
There is every damn day.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they're having their big political deal that takes place every 5 years, essentially, where they elect their leader or whatever. And
Yeah.
I know President Xi has talked about seizing Taiwan on a faster timeline than anybody thought, or they didn't release their GDP numbers, as Indy said here. So there's trouble going on in China.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it here.
Their stocks are definitely feeling that, and people are looks like they're running out the door very quickly here. So I like Baba as well. It's one that could trade very well in those type of conditions. So I'll put it on a secondary for now, on Baba, and I'll keep Neo out of all these Chinese tickers that we have here. I think these two are pretty good. But there's a ton, guys, as you can see on here. Let's take a look at some other ones. We have ABT on deck. ABT is looking nice this morning compared to what they usually do. Is there earnings here? I have not looked.
Yep,
Any
made earnings
notes?
this morning. I haven't looked through them because I'm not a big fan, but yes.
Yeah. So they are in play, guys. I'll put them as a possible in case. I know some people like to trade this one. I do not, but I'll put it here just in case you missed it on your notes. You have it, and if you like to trade that one it could possibly be in play today. Carvana, it's a hit or miss for me. I mean, it's on and off when it comes to trading this one. Right now they're down 3%. I don't think there's really much going on right now. Didn't have earnings already, or
next
did
week.
they have it
Next
next
week?
week?
It's on
Okay.
November 3rd. Sorry, not next
Oh,
week.
okay. So I know it has some other news. Then I can't forget what it was. If there's nothing else
They
going
had
on,
a
that's
downgrade
big.
yesterday.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, correct. That's what it was. I don't know. On the fence, possible for now. C, V, and A. Again, they're hit or miss. They can trade very well. They could be extremely choppy. It's usually on the choppier side more than anything. All right, that covers our gap down list, guys. Pretty much a lot of the Chinese stocks here. I got a few on there. I'm going to watch Neo, Baba, and then we got some other ones, some real good ones: Netflix, United, and Ally this morning. Norm, anything you like on your end so far?
Just the usual suspects: Tesla, Nvidia.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me see here. I did have one more, ASML, and not necessarily this one itself because it doesn't trade great. It is not. It is a. It's out of the Netherlands. Not a great trader, but this is a big semiconductor stock. As you know, semis have been beaten up tremendously. This thing's been cut in more than half. So they had a pretty decent earnings report. So we might see some action out of other semis.
Yeah.
Not seeing it now. Nvidia's down 1.5. I don't have AMD up here, which Peter's going to shame me for, but yeah, there's AMD down a little bit over 1%. So they're not reacting too much on it now, but they might at some point.
Yeah, we'll keep a close eye on them. I'm going to put ASML here just as a kind of like a bookmark type thing to remind us that that stuff is in play. Not really going to be trading that one, as Storm says. All right, guys, let's take it to the room. See what you guys got going on here. KOLD. For a minute, I thought you were laughing without moving, but I see your camera froze again. I'm like, how's Norm doing that?
I'm a ventriloquist, buddy.
Yeah. KOLD. This is the ETF. What is this for? Nat gas.
Inverse nat gas ETF leveraged.
Yeah, this stuff is, man, everything going on. This stuff is definitely hot and moving. I prefer not to trade this one.
Is that
I prefer
an intended pun or not?
That was intended.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just insane. So we'll see what's happening. I don't trade that one, guys. It is leverage, so be very, very careful the way that thing moves. All right, what else we have? TY, is that thank you or is that a ticker? Christina, I think you're saying thank you, right? Yeah, you are. Yes, because this is a no for today. this TY. All right, so that's not a ticker. What do you guys like this morning? You guys are not throwing out any tickers. Let's check over on YouTube. Phil, you're giving us BABA and PDD. I have BABA. Let's take a look at PDD this morning. They're here down 3.1. No, sorry, that's not BABA. I mean, that's not PDD. PDD is down 4.1, 151,000 shares traded. Yeah, it's definitely in play. It's definitely in play. Looks interesting. I don't think it beats any of the stuff that I have on my list up here, but definitely looks interesting. Here is Netflix continues to drop. Man, look at this. So big gap up. They're still up 10.7, but they're giving some of that back this morning.
Yeah, I was actually talking one of my fellow news junkies that does a lot of digging into earnings reports and everything, a longtime member, about how while their subscriber growth in the last quarter was pretty phenomenal, 2.4 million versus a million expected, their guidance was not good, and their their guidance was nasty, frankly.
Yeah.
They're not going to report quarterly paid memberships either after this earnings report or after the next. I'm not sure which. And they are going to crack down on password sharing next year. So, it's while it had a big pop on that subscriber growth, it's not all, unicorns and rainbows.
Yeah. I was, when I saw the pop, I was shocked. I'm like, is this thing really gonna run? Some people are saying, let's see if it can get to 300. And I'm like, how is this happening? And things are not, these things are not great. So I don't know. It was, I guess they
not going to
get horrible news, So
I misstated that. I was saying like 6 different things. Thank you, no runs.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But right now, giving some of that back, the high is 275.30 down at 266, and again for me, looking rather weak there. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, I think we're all set. A few more here. Let's look at, what time is it? 8:50. We'll look at Tesla. We have Disney. Ross Stevens, you're giving us Disney. We haven't looked at that in some time. Disney at the moment, what's going on with Disney? We are down. We're up 1.6, 152,000. All right, so we talked about this earlier today. Roku could be another one. These are possible sympathy plays with Netflix. I'm looking at Netflix today, guys, though. That's where the action is going to be for me. I mean, this thing is it's very, very active. 2 million shares, up 10%. Huge action last night after hours. So this is where my eyes would be this morning. We'll see if those other ones get volume. Right now, they don't look like they have much going on as far as Roku and Bridget and Disney. So they're Ross. All right, a few more here. NEM, SETI, NEM. What is this? NEM?
Newmont Mining.
Yeah.
It's the mining companies are usually pretty bad traders.
Yeah, they don't day trade, intraday trade very well. They can trend nicely. They can trend, like if you get an entry and it goes your way, it'll take all day. They can trend nicely. We've seen that, but man, for the way we trade, we need that volume, volatility, and yeah. All right, guys, let's stop here. Let's head over to our. Actually, no, I have this here set up. Right, let's head over to our community events and announcements.
All right. Every Monday night, 8 p.m., Onboarding and Technology with Carlos. It is open to everybody, also open to people that aren't even members. If you'd like to come check out the room, we give you that first free class. You can sign up in the email capture box on the homepage, right at the very top of the page. You'll get a link a few hours before the session starts. So every Monday night, live at 8 p.m. Tuesday night, Carlos, you had your orb last night. That should be posted soon. And then next week is Andrew. He's going to be talking about moving averages, which ones he uses, why he uses those, how he uses those. Wednesdays is for psychology on tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. There you go, 8 p.m. Eastern. You'll have Mike given part of his Psychology 101 series, how your personal values affect your trading performance. And the next week, Randy Howell talking about scared money, knowing better, and chasing losers. Thursday, we got mentorship with John at 11 and Thor at 8. Don't forget about tradingterminal.com. Yes, there is an issue with the Gapper scanner. The other scanners work, but there's some issue with the connection with the vendor, data vendor, and us. It is being worked on. We know about it. That's why we have in the room, we have the gappers up. So until the morning trading commences at 9:30 promptly. Those will be up in the room. Tradingterminal.com, but news and everything else is working. You can also get to the simulator through there or through stocktradingsimulator.com, where you can use our free web-based replay simulator 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for free to hone your trading skills. If you're watching on YouTube, you'd like to give the room a shot, you can use the promo code PreMarket24 when you sign up for the intro membership. It's 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. No obligation. It is a one-time payment, does not recur, doesn't turn into any other kind of membership. It just drops off after that 7 days. And if you'd like to, you can choose to become a different membership category and continue on. So use the promo code READ50 if you'd like to become an Elite Annual member. It will give you half off the Elite Annual membership and a free one-on-one coaching session with Dr. Kenneth Reed.
All right, thank you very much, Norm, for that. Okay, guys, let's get to it here. Let's build our watch list. Again, we have a couple of nice tickers here: Netflix, UAL, Ali, Neo, Tesla, and Nvidia. And then we got some possibles: PDD, AMD, ABT, BABA, CVNA, and ASML for the semis there. See what that does. So Carlos, does Netflix trade like Tesla? Looks like it needs to be given some space in regards to stops. Yes, you do have to give Netflix some room. I mean, it can move very aggressively. Man, it continues to drop here. It can move very aggressively, like Tesla, like a Tesla. When does it play like this, right? Normally not, but you want to give it some room. I think Tesla is still more volatile than Netflix is by far. But you got to give it some room. Like, for example, yesterday we trade. I mean, you can't compare what happened yesterday with earnings, to regular trading today. But yesterday it was just insane. Let's see. Do we have a? Let's look at the 5 minute. I want to show you guys quickly. We have a little bit of time on how this action was. If you missed it, I mean, look at these candles. If you're trading this, in which I did, I got in somewhere around here. I took a very small number of shares. I took enough shares that I calculated if this thing drops to here, I won't lose more than, I think it was like $900, right? So that was my calculation. Like, because you gotta plan for that. That can happen. You think it's crazy, but that can happen, right? So that was my calculation on how many shares I'm going to take here, because you got to prepare for the worst if something like this happens. What you don't want to do is you take 1,000 shares here and this thing drops and you lose, 10 grand, right? You don't want to do that. So got to be very, very careful. Risk management, guys. Risk management is the most important thing that there is. So please be aware of that. Here's actually that trade from yesterday. And guys, if you're not following us on Twitter, make sure you do that. At Norm BBT, at Carlos M BBT, and here's our trade that we had on Netflix yesterday. So that was our entry, and then we took it off very quickly because it seemed very toppy, but it did keep going there. So, and also at Bearboot Traders, make sure you follow us there on Twitter. Okay, let's get to it. Netflix is looking good. That's on deck. United Airlines, we're going to keep this also. That's on deck here very nicely. Right now, I mean, I wish it had a little more volume, I want to say, but I think it can build up as we get closer to the market open. So we'll give it a little more time. And some other ones, Allied, Neo's bouncing back after some lows here, down to 1178. Tesla, man, look at the volume on Tesla. Very nice. That's in play. And Nvidia as well, looking very good. Okay, let's start with Nvidia since we're here already. We're going to remove some of our older levels. And as we're doing these levels, you can see we were stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days at the moment. And we're going to put something at the low of the pre-market here at 11. This is 18, sorry, 117.21, I believe that was. And we're going to do 120.11 here. So that's your highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. Nice area of resistance here over on Nvidia, around 119, looks like 120. So we'll see how this is going to be playing out. And Nvidia, guys, as you guys know, one of our usual suspects, has been trading so well and so clean. So looking forward to seeing what that does today. Heading over to Tesla this morning, another one, again, right smack in the middle of the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. And you're going to see this a lot because what we're doing here, we've been moving sideways the last couple of days, right? got this sideways action there. So we'll see which way we're going to be pushed today. But Tesla, guys, also for trading very, very well. We had a open range breakup session yesterday. We talked about, during this market conditions, on how to wait. You have to wait for the setup. Those first couple of minutes are so volatile, right? This is a stock that you could be right on your entry, but the pullbacks and the volatility would have stopped you out, right? It is just insane. So you want to wait, let things settle down a little bit, let the candles tell you where they want to go, and then you could take an opportunity. 224.15 high of our pre-market, and that's all I'm going to add for Tesla. I'm not going to add anything else. I want to see breakouts out of these areas will be nice. This 224 here will be a nice breakout if we can get that. So let's see what happens. Next we have Neo. Neo on deck here is going to be what do we have here? Low of the pre-market at the moment is 1177. So 1177, low of the pre-market there. High of the pre-market at the moment, we're looking at 1205. So I like Neo, guys. It's been trading so well. Very clean, a good continuation after it settles down a couple of minutes into the market open. So let's see what it does today. Dropping back down to the lows of last week. This would have been, today's Wednesday or Thursday? Today is Wednesday. Yes. So this would have been last week, Friday. You can see dropping back down to those lows, retesting that one more time. Let's see if that's going to continue to be a support here. Towards the top, you got plenty, guys. Highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. So you're pretty much set here when it comes to Neo. Let's take a look over at Allied. Is Ally or Al? Is it Ally or Ali? How do you pronounce this company's name? Either way, low of the pre-market there. We have 25.64. 25.64, and then we're going to go down to the left. What do we have here to the left? We're down nicely 10% on this thing. Ooh, we haven't been down here in such a long time. No, I can't go back. Wait, is that? Oh, okay, I'm about to say. No, there it is. Wasn't loading. Okay, here we go. So we're in this area now. Here's our price action. You can see the candles. Let's see some levels towards the bottom. We're going to have a very nice one here, guys, at 24.63. And then another great level on the daily, very clean, 23.16. Again, we're down 10% already. We are finding a little bit of support of this 25.64. There might not be more down movement if we can break through these off the top, off the gates on the bell when the bell rings. So just be careful on that. But let's see. We have 24.63. Let's see. We're going to test this right now one more time. Let's see what happens here when we go back to this previous day close. The low of the pre-market, if we're going to hold or we're going to break down. But again, we're down 10% already. So I don't know how much more room they have left here. Here's United Airlines. Again, the volume still, we got 346,000, but then we haven't moved. We just kind of been there. We gapped up 6% and not a whole lot of movement after the move up. So right where the price action is, we do have a level here, guys, on the daily. You can see plenty of days slamming against that, so that's good. That's going to be 39.56. I'm going to mark that down. I know it's very close to where the price action is now. 40.26, another level up here, and then all the way up here, 40.78. So that's enough there for the upside of things. Towards the bottom on the daily, I do have this great level here, 38.77. And then another level here over at 38.05. Might actually be 38. And now once we zoom in, your pre-market high is slightly above this 39.56. It's actually all the way up at 40. So we'll slam a level there. And we're going to slam the low of the pre-market down at this 38.92. So plenty of good levels there for United Airlines for whatever it decides to do. It looks a little toppy as it's slamming into some areas of resistance up here. Let's see if that's going to create a reversal back down to some lows there on United. Last but not least, Netflix, guys. So Netflix has been again very, very active this pre-market. High of the pre-market at the moment 275.40ish. And then the low of the pre-market will look in just being created now at 266. So we will mark that there for now. We're getting a little bit of a bounce. Let's see if that's gonna hold, but looking rather weak this morning as far as the trend, right? Hit 275 again. That was an issue for them last night here. As they had to pop above that almost to 280, right? 278, came back down to 275, and then here we tested it this morning. and we got a nice drop down to 265. But again, looking pretty weak this morning. Towards the bottom, where's the gap here? We should have something. This is very clean. Wow, you guys remember this drop there below 266. What's the next level here for us? We might have to go pretty far back. Let's take a look at a monthly maybe. Let's see. Or a weekly. Let's do a weekly. Yeah, let's do a weekly here. Let's see if we have some levels in between here. If we were to drop this 266, which is looking like it wants to, 266, holding on to that. Maybe 257.20. This is off a weekly, guys, because we're going back to 2019 to find some of these levels. So we're going back on this. Yeah, let's leave that one. I don't see anything else that sticks out on the weekly worth adding at the moment. So, all right, that is Netflix. Let's get our charts back where they need to be. 5 minute, there it is, dropping 266. I'm still going to keep 266 on there because if you saw the weekly at 266, you did have a little bit of support. So still keep that on there, and we'll mark a new pre-market pre-market low when this thing decides to drop further. All right, guys. I like our list this morning. I really do. I like Netflix. I like Neo. I like Ali here. I like them. They look good. Neo is good. Tesla and Nvidia. Yeah, not a bad list, guys. Not a bad list. All right. Anything else? Anything we might have missed? Anything you guys liked this morning? Yeah, no, yeah. I was able to pull up another monitor, so they're asking me, we're having problems with monitors. I pulled up another monitor that's an older one, but the resolution is different, and that's why I'm struggling to see the numbers. So you see me struggling today because there's some lines here blocking half of the montage. For you guys, it looks good, but for me, it's not. It looks horrible. So I'm struggling with the numbers today, looking in different places. But yeah, we will figure this out. Um, all right, guys. What else? We're looking good. Gap up list showing the same tickers. I do see Roku's up here now. Let's see what Roku is up to. Roku's making an appearance on our gap up, so they're getting volume. Let's see. Are they looking better than they were earlier today? Let's see. No, it's still pretty. Move this over here. Still pretty quiet for the most part, but they are starting to get. They're up 1.6 with some volume here right now. Good secondary out of Netflix, but Netflix is what I'll be looking at. Microsoft laying off 1,000 employees. Microsoft, that could be interesting. That could be interesting for Netflix. Well, we have secondary PDDs. PDD is good, guys. If you like this stock, it has a nice move this morning. 158,000. They usually don't get volume to the market open, but it looks interesting there. AMD is good. ABT. I'm gonna remove ABT because I personally I know I'm not gonna trade it. I'm not a big fan of the way that thing moves, but Microsoft I am. I do like the way Microsoft moves at times. Let's see if that catalyst, if that's going to do anything for them this morning. Right now, it's okay. Not great volume. We'll see at the market open how it does. Baba looks interesting as it's starting to lose some ground here. I think Baba could be the sleeper for today, guys. This is looking really good for a possible potential to test even 71.50, right? With everything going on in China, it's just not a good deal for them. So this could be interesting on their CVNA Carvana. Not a big fan, and I think we're all pretty much set. OLPX starting to push higher here. Careful on this one, guys. If you're being a little bit short bias, this thing is down 43%. So that's a big drop. Usually when we start seeing drops above 30, 35, 40, on companies that are not like low flow stuff, they can bounce back and close a little bit of that gap. We've seen that. If it's a low flow, pump and dump, forget it. It can do whatever. It can keep going down. It can do things that are not normal. But this one, we'll see. Let's see. Carlos, can you remind me what is the optical internet speed for using DAS? The speed is not as important as it is your this little guy over here, right? So what you want to do is we have a little time here. You want to go to your Dash Trader Pro platform, right? And you want to click on this little guy here, right? And then look at what the network delay is. I think that's going to be more important, because your speed could be it could be good, and you could have horrible connection to the servers. And look all the way to the right and look at what this is, right? Now I'm in Jersey, so I'm going to get great connection. I'm going to get 1510. It's going to be pretty down.
Ping.
Yeah, the ping. Yeah. So, but anything below 200, you're pretty good. Now, I've been in other countries where I traded at 400, 500, and it's been okay. So I think 200 is like the safe must have. But I traded at 400 and it was fine, right? So anything more than that, I wouldn't
That
trust
and a
too much.
stable connection.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to have 1 gigabyte of files and all this stuff, unless you're streaming or doing something else. All right. Okay, guys, we're pretty much set. We have a good list today. Norm, anything you added to your list that maybe we haven't looked at?
No, I'm not. I got to tell you, this isn't my favorite day I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna sit back and chill.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
watch some of the normal,
Normal stuff.
the
Yeah.
usual suspects.
Yeah. Gotcha, man. All right, guys, let's take a look at our moderators list as we come into the close here. We have Thor. Let's bring this over. We have Thor, Peter with their list already. So we'll take a look at this. I'm gonna bring that now, guys. For those that if you have not done so already, it's an amazing opportunity to show us how much you love us and hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. It makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside. So thank you so much. And if that doesn't do it, then this probably will. Hit a thumbs up for that.
Give a
Nice.
thumbs up for me.
Yes, for meats. I appreciate it very, very much. All right. Let's see what we got. Going on here. Man, this monitor issue is driving me insane. Okay, so let's go here and bring this over as our moderators get our list together. All right, so here's what we have so far, guys. We are looking at Thor. He's looking at the Qs and the SPY. We have Tesla, Netflix, and United and Disney. Peter will be looking. No, sorry, not looking at. These are his IPOs for today. ALPX and INTS. And he also be looking at AMD, Apple, Netflix, UAL, Neo, and Axie. And for Jared, watching Netflix, Sympathy Moves are Disney, Roku, and Apple. Yeah, Apple streaming as well. That's right. And then you have a secondary list. It's going to be heater, hot cocoa, blanket, and some healthy snacks. Sounds very good, my friend. Okay, that is our moderators list so far. We'll see who else pops in there, and then we'll wait for Brian, and we'll hand it over to him. My list right now, Netflix continues to roll over here. We're going to go back down to 250 on Netflix. I won't be surprised. It won't shock me. It will not shock me. I mean, wow, there it is. So Netflix continues to drop. United Airlines not doing a whole lot this morning. We'll wait for the market open for that one. Ali is here. They are bouncing a little bit. Again, just kind of holding off this 25.64 at the market open. Let's see how this is going to react. Give this one, guys, 5 minutes, I think, at the market open. Don't jump in right away. I think with the gap down here, you need to give it a little bit of time. Neo will be interesting. I want to see if Neo can go below this 1177, and Baba as well, right? Both of these not doing too good. They're down. Neo 2.8, Baba 3.7. Tesla here testing 218, and Nvidia hovering above 117. So that is our list so far.
Longtime member and friend David from Connecticut is saying it's 35 degrees in Connecticut. It's colder here than it is there. Unbelievable.
Wow. Wait, it's colder where you're at?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
In Texas?
Yeah. I live right on a lake, and the lake is still pretty hot. Still, I think the lake temp's still like 72 to 78 degrees, depending on where you are or whatever. So where I am is a little bit warmer than that. It's like 36 at my house, but if you go a few miles away from me, it's 30 degrees. Oh,
wow.
Kelvin. Dylan, I don't know if you're in DFW or you're just visiting, but Pecan Lodge is fabulous.
Yeah. It is cold here. Woke up at 38, and it's you definitely start feeling it. Megan, we don't care what your weather was. We don't want to hear.
No,
We don't want to hear about people in California and their nice weather now. All right, guys, we are set. Here's our list so far. We'll wait for more moderators, but we're looking pretty good right now. Our secondary list we didn't go over, but we got some good possibles here. PDD, I know many like that one. That can be nice. AMD, of course, usual suspects. Microsoft here as well. Again, not doing a whole lot right now. Really like BABA. I might actually end up moving BABA up, maybe replacing United. We will see. Carvana here, and also we have ASML. So that is our list so far. We're looking pretty good for now. And I'm sure if these don't do anything great, we'll have eyes on the scanners and we'll be looking for anything that the market gives us at the open. You can't complain about weather. I live in England. Yeah, you're right. Anyone above, I don't want to complain about the weather for anyone that lives above me. Peter, that might be is already in snow or whatever. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Any other ones you guys like? If not, we will thank you guys for joining us this morning. We will wait for see if Peter has his list. And not Peter, excuse me, Brian. What colors are beautiful though? Yes, they are. I do love the fall, and the color change. It's one of my favorite times of the year. No question.
I'm ready for spring after this cold snap.
Ross D, you're giving us MNTV. Okay, float on this. Let's take a look. MMTV. 126 minutes. There's not a low flow stock. I'm not sure. Volume is horrible as far as the daily. I don't know, man.
Volume today. There's news on
Right.
this. I just don't know what it is.
Mhm.
I heard this earlier. Someone mentioned it somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
It is in play, but I haven't really taken the time to dig into it.
Yeah. All right. We'll throw it on and see what it does, and see if anybody. We'll keep talking about this during our in our chat room here as well. So, MNTV. So we'll throw it on. It has 1 million right now. So again, it has more shares than it does on a regular basis pre-market. So up 20%. Definitely worth having on our list. See what takes place there. All right, guys, we are out of time. Megan, Nvidia, and still looking. We'll look at CCL here. CCL, CCL, it's doing its usual thing. I'd rather watch something else though. These stocks we spoke about it yesterday, have not been the same after they've been dropping below $20-$30. They just don't trade as good as they used to, at least from my perspective, right?
Matt
guys.
H, thank you.
Yeah.
That MNTV, apparently there's a Bloomberg report suggesting the company's considering a sale after receiving takeover interest.
Oh, okay.
Definitely in play.
Definitely in
Just
play,
be
guys.
careful with it.
We will have it on here. We'll keep talking about this in our chat as well. Over on YouTube, guys, thank you so much. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so. Subscribe. Help us get to 100,000. We're working on that. And we will see you guys tomorrow, 8 a.m. here with Jarrett, and then 8:30 with Norman and I. Take care and have an amazing trading day.
Absolutely, guys. Take care. Trade safe.